To my channel, Lotus of Luz Divina. My name is Diego. I'm going to be doing your monthly reading for today. So I did decide to do a bit of a different method from now on. I feel like sometimes videos can be a little time consuming just because of how I work. But I'm still gonna do like self videos where I'm, shuffling on camera and stuff. But I did want to do more consistent videos where I'm actually able to upload daily, but it wouldn't be on camera. It would be through audio. So it would be similar to a podcast, I guess you can say. But this is just what I'm doing for now. But especially the longer ones, because sometimes it's hard to actually sit there and watch and listen to or watch an entire like 30-minute video. So sometimes if you're just playing it or just putting it in the background while you're doing stuff, I feel like that can help too, just to receive the message. Overall, I want to do the message for this video for the month of June for what's going to be coming up. I think I'm going to go over nine questions or 9 areas for the month of June that we're going to be addressing. And the first one is current self, second, theme of the month, the third, the key goal of the month, the fourth, obstacles to overcome, five, major accomplishments, six, what to avoid, seven, what to embrace, eight, where to find support, and nine, advice and encouragement. So we're actually going to do that right now. So I'm sure you can hear me shuffling. Um, it's like 11:32 at night. And I look ratchet as this, but it's okay. I actually had to cleanse my room. I haven't cleansed in a while, and that's why I haven't done any readings in my room recently, just because I did need to cleanse a bit. So I did use frankincense and myrrh. Um, let's see. So I asked my guides, my angels, my protectors, anyone and everyone who is here to divinely guide me towards the right path, who is here to protect me, who is my ancestors, my spirit guides, my archangels, my angels, any gods and goddesses that are here to beside me, trying to guide me down the right path and protecting me. I am very grateful for your protection and for your guidance. I am genuinely I am genuinely grateful for all the messages I'm about to receive. I ask for your clarity and for your guidance for the month of June for the collective and for myself as well. Um, let's see what the month of June will be bringing us. Okay, so let's do a quick spread here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alrighty. So for the first card here, we have water. As far as water itself, we're going to look at this little guidebook that I have just to see what Spirit wants us to do with actual water. Emotions, receptivity, and a connection to bodies of water. Drawing this card is a symbol of connecting to your emotions regarding your question or situation. Allow yourself to be open to any changes of direction and let the element of water guide you in the right direction. Meditate with the symbol by a body of water in the bath or with the vessel of water to help keep the emotions pure and to assist you in being more flexible. Overall, this is also the number 18 with this deck that I have. With water, receptivity is very important, but it's also not easy. It's not easy to just receive emotions of other people. It's also not easy to receive criticism. It's not easy to receive advice sometimes even. I feel like sometimes we have this image of like, I know what's best for myself, you don't know me. But I feel like that's a very, very difficult boundary and guard that is kind of easy to get confused with, having it as a guard to protect yourself versus having it as a guard to keep yourself from stepping out of your comfort zone. And when you confuse both of them, it makes it very difficult to progress forward with any spiritual growth, with any emotional growth, even physical growth, like working out, maybe being criticized about your body physically, being criticized about your mind physically, where you're saying like you may be a little too much in the clouds, a little too much in your fantasy, a little too much in your dreams. Reality is here. We're meant to live in reality, but we need to find a way to balance the element of water, of emotions, of receptivity on earth, sorry, to really be able to keep ourselves um really keep ourselves balanced, right? And then with water, just in general, it's always good to stay hydrated. I think our body is made up of what, 70% of water. So it's also very important that you do stay hydrated, especially with the summer heat coming up. If you haven't been drinking water, drink more water. Also make sure you're drinking water with electrolytes. You also want to make sure you're doing that kind of stuff too, just because drinking pure water with very little minerals doesn't really give that much of an effect to your body. That's just something you have to keep in mind. I think purified water, it's not bad for you, but it doesn't do much for you. But when it has minerals and when it has electrolytes and stuff like that, it tends to hydrate your body a little bit more. And I hear sometimes having a little bit of um, salt in your body. Obviously, not too much sodium, right? But having a little bit of salt in your body, I hear, is very good. Don't quote me on that, but we'll go into that a little time. So currently, with your current self, that's basically what we're dealing with. Having to take care of your emotions, um, having to take care of your ability to receive other people's criticisms, having to take care of your ability to receive other people's emotions as well, and how to actually maintain those emotions when you're actually trying to be there for somebody versus letting it overtake you and overwhelm you in general, right? So it really depends on how you receive this message, just because this is such a general message, but I kind of want to get a little bit of clarity as to what exactly that means for the collective. Let's get a little bit of clarity on where is my deck? Oh, it's right here. Let's get a little bit of okay. So with water here, what is a clarity? What is some clarity that we can get on the current self for water? Thank you, my guides. Okay. We have the Emperor and the Queen of Swords. So for some of you, it's the ability. I'm getting two things. I'm getting that a connection with a person, either they're an Aries or they're very strong, a leader of some kind, authoritative of some kind of quality of leadership and mentorship, even, or even some kind of I don't know why I'm getting the term dictator, but someone who's very in control of this situation, of this relationship, of this connection, and you are somebody who has cut this person off. The feminine energy in this reading has cut ties with the Emperor, and when they cut ties with the Emperor, I feel like the emotions that they're going to be feeling is currently going to be difficult to process, or either when you are processing them, it's going to be a difficult time for you, just because when you genuinely are processing your feelings and your emotions, you're grieving. They say that when you do break up with someone or you cut someone out of your life, it's similar to having a funeral for them, because this is somebody who's been in your life for so long, and then suddenly cutting them off, it's like an actual loss. It's a physical loss of someone no longer being in your life. So emotionally, it's similar. So the sense of grief will be coming in. Maybe that's currently either what you are going through or what you will be dealing with soon. And then with the Emperor here, I'm also getting the fact that it's somebody who, I'm getting the sense that they're too headstrong, they're too stubborn, and they're too willingly okay with being ignorant. I'm not getting a bad feeling, but I'm also getting a very stubborn feeling with this Emperor. Someone who's like, I am the way I am, and that's the way it is. And for you, you're kind of like, okay, well, you are the way you are, but there's so much growing you have to do. And I have so much more to offer than what you're willing to accept. So I can't. Like, you're basically bringing me down despite how well you present yourself, how well you are in life, how well you um, come off to be, right? Maybe there's a past that they're not telling you about. Maybe there's hidden secrets they're not telling you about. This sense of like an image or like a barrier in front of you or in front of them, sorry, that you can sort of sense that they're not being completely truthful or completely honest or completely um, vulnerable. And with the Queen of Swords here, we have this energy of like, okay, I like you, I have feelings for you, but logically, this doesn't make sense to continue. So the sense of being able to just not having to, being able to not have to deal with this person anymore, despite whatever strong feelings you may be feeling, you're being more logical, having a more logical approach about this. And so for number 2, for the theme of the month of June, we're going to have relief. So overall, despite whatever feelings you're feeling, relief will be a part of the journey as well for June. Let's get a little bit of clarity on relief, please. Thank you. We have the Four of Cups. Also the number 12. So the Four of Cups is coming upright, and then the Four of Wands is coming reversed. So Four of Cups is a loss, or not even a loss, but more like an inability to see an opportunity. And Four of Wands is reversed. So that means instability, that means a lack of foundation, or a structure that isn't very strong. So with relief here, I feel like there's a sense of I'm getting like a tower moment, but not in I don't want to say a negative way, but the chaos that you will be dealing with for June is going to be bringing you a sense of relief because it's going to guide you towards a better path. And what I mean by a better path is a better journey that's going to allow you to build your foundation, build the family, build the friendships, build the connections, or even build the financial stability or the opportunities in a more structured or more healthier way. I feel like with the Four of Cups, maybe an opportunity that you felt like might have passed you by might be coming back around, or there's an opportunity that you're currently not seeing that June will come and allow you to kind of bring about more clarity, and you're going to be able to see a little bit more clear as to what this opportunity can bring you, and if it's actually good for you, or if it's an opportunity that will only bring you more chaos and add to the clumsy structure of your life that you're dealing with right now. Let's get a little bit of clarity on the Four of Cups. Thank you. So the Six of Wands, victory. Yeah, so basically the Four of Cups is going to be bringing you an opportunity. Something you're not able to see is going to bring about a victorious reward in the end. So you're going to be winning in this month, but you're not going to be able to see it clearly. It's going to be an opportunity that's going to be right in front of you, but you're going to be a little bit focused on your losses. But because you're focused on your losses, there's an opportunity that's right next to those losses that you're going to be unsure of because of how you're feeling. And I think with water being the current self, I think that's why Spirit wants you to process your emotions very well, because when this opportunity does come in, it doesn't want you to let it pass you by. What's meant for you will always come back around, but right now it's like, here's the opportunity that's going to come for you. Make sure you're feeling okay enough, or you're able to process your feelings enough to set them aside and be a little bit more logical to be able to see this. And with the Four of Wands reversed, let's get a bit of clarity on that. That way. 4 wands. Thank you. We have the Seven of Cups. So yeah, so plenty of opportunities, um, plenty of paths and decisions to make that may be leaving you feeling confused, may be leaving you feeling unsure. And this is where gut and intuition will come in. As we know, water is also very related to intuition, and it's also related to uh, sorry, what was I going to say? The water signs. So, with Cancer being one of them, and Scorpio and Pisces being very highly intuitive signs, intuition will be very key for this month. And then when this opportunity does come around, you're gonna have more than one. It's not just gonna be one obvious one where you're like, oh, this is an opportunity. No, plenty of them are gonna come around, but it's up to you to decide, is this the right one or is this the right one? So that's where your emotions have to be in check. Not that you have to ignore them, but you have to really process them, so that way when this opportunity does come, you're not too overwhelmed by the stress or the unsureness or the lack of I'll just say unsureness, the unsureness of the opportunities being presented to you. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. For the third card, let's see. All right, here. So we have the third card, key goal of the month. And the goal is psychic, number 48. So we have intuition, empathic gifts, psychic visions, prophecy, and powerful dreaming are present. You now have access to a greater wisdom that is beyond what the human eye can see. This is a time of great awakening. New psychic abilities and gifts come to you now. See the sacredness in your visions. Pay attention to your dreams and the symbols that are repeating as messages. Meditate on this symbol when you want to expand your healing, creative dreaming, and psychic abilities. So I have a symbol here that looks like a Venn diagram. If you want to look it up, it's called Vesica Pisces. So Vesica Pisces. So Vesica Pisces is one of the most profound and sacred geometrical symbols of ancient and modern times. A magical symbol of two intersecting circles. That name literally means fish in Latin. Alright, so we're gonna get some clarity on psychic. I feel like we kind of got some clarity on the fact that your intuition will be key this month with the previous topic, but we'll get some clarity on psychic here. Queen of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. All right. So the sense of being grounded is going to be key here. I feel like your ability to wish upon a star and to really fall into your dreams and your fantasies, while it's great and it's fun and it keeps you going, I guess you can say, and it's motivating, there's a sense of having to bring that to reality, you know? Not to say that you shouldn't dream big, but if you're going to dream big, there's only so much fantasy that you can mentally put yourself in until it gets to a point where becomes delusion. So you need to be careful with either not fantasizing too much or putting in the work to bring that fantasy to a reality. So with the Queen of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles, psychic here tells us that maybe your psychic abilities, your ability to manifest, your ability to envision your futures, your ability to trust your dreams needs some work. I think the key goal here is to work on your intuition. And that is basically by keeping yourself grounded. And what you do by grounded is meditating, putting in the work to really work on these skills. There's also your chakras. So there's the crown chakra, your third eye chakra, your sacral chakra, your throat chakra, your what was the other one? Solar chakra, your root chakra. I feel like I missed, or your heart chakra. And so there's 7 of them. If I miss one, I apologize. But there's 7 that have to be in balance and they have to be constantly worked on. Not that it has to be hyper focused every day, but you do have to maintain them like anything. Like every day you have to get up and brush your teeth and shower. Every day you have to do at least 30 minutes of exercise to maintain your body to be active. Does it have to be heavy activity? No. But is it something that you should be doing, like a light walk? It helps no matter what. Same with your spiritual hygiene. I feel like your spiritual hygiene has been a little out of focus, and it needs a little bit more attention. It needs a little bit more care, and it needs a little bit more, how do I say it? A little bit more, yeah, that's basically the word that I'm getting is care. It needs more care and it needs more focus. With the Queen of Pentacles overall, it's just kind of like bring about the energy that you would put into if it were a job or if it were a career or if it were a goal or a dream that you were trying to bring into reality. So if your psychic abilities, your ability to trust your intuition has been a little off, a little shaky. It's definitely something that's going to be a big focus and definitely something you're going to want to work on. With the Knight of Pentacles here, I'm getting the sense that you may not have the most. I'm getting, even though the Knight of Pentacles is it's patience and slow moving. I'm getting the sense that you are not patient. You're not very willing to put in the work. I think the goal is to be patient, and the goal is to put in the work despite not seeing results right away. It's very important that you do that, because not doing that will always lead you to constant setbacks, because you're not really investing into things like Seven of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, and then Nine of Pentacles, and then Ten of Pentacles. Like there's sense of like you're trying to skip steps. You're trying to go from zero to completely mastering psychic abilities, and it just doesn't work that way. You need to put in the work of in staying in tune, figuring out which abilities you actually do have. Maybe you're trying to focus on skills or intuition that isn't necessarily is your best skill. For example, me, as much as I want to see, this is going to sound not weird, but I would love to see spirits. Maybe that's just something that I just find very interesting, and I hear a lot of stories on TikTok and YouTube, and how patients can see, or patients, sorry, people can see past loved ones, past spirits that have moved on, spirits that are here stuck, things like that. I've always found that very interesting. I've always wanted to do that, but it's just not something I. Maybe I can get into this a little bit later, but I have seen a spirit. I've seen my dad's spirit when he was like across in Mexico, even though I was here in the United States. But he's alive, which is weird. But that's a whole nother story. But it's not exactly my strong suit. My strong suit, I feel like, is clairaudience. So I feel like clairaudience for me is like I'm able to like piece together things that are popping up in my head, either quotes from movies, songs, things like that. Or sometimes like when I'm laying asleep, I'll hear like talking, like just like, and then like I'll hear like a phrase, or just really randomly I'll hear a phrase. Or also clear cognizance. Sometimes I'm just doing something in my everyday life, and I'm connecting to things, and then something pops up in my head, like maybe you should bring this up. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know, it's really weird. So like, for example, today I went to the store with my nephew, and he always puts on his seatbelt, but this time he didn't. And the thing kept popping up like ding ding ding, like to remind him. And I was like, hey, put on your seatbelt. He's like, oh yeah, hold on. And so I was telling him, and that to me was like an intuition. I was like, wait, something about that is telling me to pay attention, because that doesn't really happen. And then I thought of how my cousin passed away. My cousin passed away in a car accident, and my sister is actually in a concert in Arizona who's going to be driving back. So I texted her. I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I was like, hey, if you can, or if you can, I was just reminding her, like, hey, put your seatbelt on, drive safe and get home safe. You know, simple things like that. Nothing crazy, but she was like, oh yeah, I will. But I don't know, those things just came together really randomly. So I was just like paying attention to my surroundings type of thing. Maybe that's something you need to start working on. But maybe that's not your strong suit. Maybe there's other stuff that's a more of a strong suit. Just things like that. Um, but if you don't know what skills are best for you, and you're just working on random things here and there without really investing in things, it's not really going to work out, you know, or it's not going to work out to the best of its ability. So I'll leave it at that. So that was the third card. Let's see. So for the fourth card, we have obstacles to overcome. We have air. So we have number 28. Air is obviously air signs, which is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So we are overcoming logic. We are overcoming being too much in our heads. Being, let's see. Let's look at the card here. Being too logical about our beliefs. Logic, critical thinking, facts, information, research, and reasoning are required at this time. You may also need more information before proceeding. Drawing this card asks you to call on the element of air to help you in finding healthy resolutions. Meditate with this symbol to call on more of the air element in your life, enhance logical thought, and inspire new ideas. Use incense, channel writing, and journaling to enhance the power of this element. Okay. All right. So with number 4 being obstacle to overcome, maybe we're not being logical enough. I take that back. With this, it's basically saying don't be afraid to be too realistic about your things, about your beliefs, because in the end, when you're being so, like I said, when you're being so spiritually in tune with everything that you're going through, it can lead you into a spiritual psychosis. You know, when you're being so focused on why spiritually things happen, sometimes logic needs to come in and kind of keep you balanced. Also, maybe you're not using your methods of logic or communication or writing. Maybe that's something you need to be doing more, like it was saying in the guidebook, journaling, um, even drawing, writing down ideas, maybe just a sense of writing in general, maybe even talking on video. Like right now, me doing this is more logic because it's communication, it's talking, right? Um, just overall, this sense of using your words and using your mind to come up with healthy resolutions, as it was saying in the guidebook. Let's get a little bit of clarity on air. The Four of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. I think like it was saying before you have information, before you proceed with any decisions, make sure you have enough information. So information is probably something you're going to have to overcome, either having to work for the information or having to make decisions based on the information that you have and relying on intuition and logic and a balance of both to make these decisions. With the Four of Pentacles here, it's the sense of keeping your impulses at bay, keeping your instinct to take action at ease. So the sense of like, while logically, well, impulsively you may feel this urge to make decisions this coming month of June. You may suddenly feel the urge to act on your emotions, suddenly feel the urge to purchase, like impulsive spending, suddenly feel the urge to just rearrange things in your life. Make sure those impulses are kind of kept at bay, because if it's meant to be the right decision, eventually that feeling of gut instinct and trust and intuition will kind of guide you back to that decision to make the decision. And as long as you're feeling very comfortable and very sure about the decision you're about to make, as long as you gave it time, maybe that's something that you needed in order to really be sure that the decision that you're about to make went from being impulsive to the right decision, you know? So the sense of keeping your impulses at bay. So no getting into relationships impulsively, no cutting people off impulsively, no making rash decisions impulsively either, you know? So just things like that. So we'll leave it at that. Um, five, major accomplishment, time. So with time here, we have divine timing is everything. You are not stuck on heading in the wrong direction. Drawing the hourglass asks you to have patience with whatever your current situation is. All will come to pass when the moment is just right. This card can also indicate that something you are waiting for is just on the horizon. All right, so that's basically what I was saying with the previous one, like keeping your impulses at bay, because if it's meant to be, it will be, and what's meant to find you will always come around and come back to you. You know, what's meant to be in your life will always find a way back to you, and when you have that trust that that will happen, you kind of tend to have a relief of stress sometimes, where you feel like, hey, like. I had to let it go. If it was the wrong decision to let it go, I asked the universe to bring it back to me in some way or another, and I know that it'll be right for me. And I can give you an example with for me personally. So when I used to work, I worked as a medical assistant. Um, the job that I was at previously, I was there for about I would say 5 years first. It was about 5 years when I was having issues with someone. I don't want to get too much into it, but I was basically having so many issues with someone to the point where I was thinking of leaving. And when I got to the point of basically deciding, hey, like I think it's time for a new opportunity, I had asked one of my old coworkers who had left, and I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? And she's like, yeah, and blah blah blah. But the problem is, I was going to school, and because where I was, I they needed people full time. The other office needed full time also as well. The problem was I was stuck between choosing to work full time or going to work somewhere that was flexible with my schedule with school, and that's what they were doing with the current job that I was in. Despite the issues that I was having, they were flexible with my schedule, and so that's why I stayed. The other job that they were offering, or I was asking if they were hiring, they had. I feel like the pay was a little better, but they weren't very flexible with scheduling because it was a smaller team, so they needed more reliable people. And so I was like, no, never mind. And they even offered me the job that, oh, we're willing to offer you this amount of pay. And that's when I knew it was more pay. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I was close to saying yes, but then I realized I was like, no, I got to go to school. And so I was like, nope. And so I said no. And so that happened. And then, like, I think a year passed, and I was genuinely so done with that place where I was before. I was like, I can't anymore. Like, it's not even worth the flexibility. And so I asked again, and this time they were like, you know what? Like, because I had already kind of worked at that other office a couple times here and there. I've met the doctor already. I've assisted with him. Like I've been in there. So he kind of knew my vibe and the type of energy that I was bringing into the office. And so I guess they had decided that they were willing to be flexible with my schedule if I was able to start um, within like the next couple weeks, I think, because I told them I needed a couple weeks for my 2 week what do they call it? Yeah, and so I said yes. I literally said yes, and this was a year after I had already said no, and they offered me even more money than they did the first time. So I was like, clearly I made the right decision, not saying yes the first time, even though it would have been good for me. I feel like at the time it just wasn't the right decision, but I was patient. And then, luckily enough, despite the stress I was going through, I decided, I was like, you know what, let me reach out again. And they said, yeah, they were looking for someone. And it was good timing because there was someone who had just left already. So they did need someone a little bit more urgently. And I think that's why they were able to be a little bit more flexible with my schedule. And they even gave me more pay. I was like, oh, okay. So it worked out for me in the end because I was patient. I did say no at first, but like I said, if the opportunity was right, it was meant to find me. And honestly, the stress that I had and the stress and problems and all the stuff that I dealt with at the other job are literally non-existent here where I'm working. So it's just like I genuinely did make the right decision, and it was best for me too, you know? So things like that. That's just an example. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. If it applies to you, if it resonates with you in some way, with that type of mentality of having to let things go and what's meant to be, it'll come around. Make sure you have faith in divine timing, or that the universe will always have your back in certain ways like that. Okay. Number 6, what do we have to avoid for June? Shift. Alrighty. So shift here. We have miracles, divine intervention, the end of stagnation, and divine inspiration are here now. Drawing this card signifies an aha moment or sudden change in any situation that was stuck or blocked. A welcome change or answer you have been seeking is here now. Meditate on this symbol when you are feeling stuck, unsure of which way to go, or having a block creatively. um so what do we have to avoid? Blockages, shifts of faith. I'm getting shifts of trust, shifts of, I don't know, I'm getting delusion. Shifts of delusion. What does that even mean? So a magician, clarifier for 10 of Wands, one last clarifier for shift. Thank you. Card number 9, and then the 8 of Wands reversed. So with the magician here, we have manifestations. We have as above, so below. The power is in your hands. You control your own universe. You control, I don't want to say you control the outcomes of your life, because I feel like that's a bit harsh in my opinion. But you have more power than you think. Put it that way. And with the 10 of Wands here upright and the 8 of Wands reversed, I'm getting the image of stress and unable to release that stress. So, you know what? Let me get a little bit more clarity on the 10 of Wands. Temperance. The 8 of Swords and the Knight of Swords reversed. Sorry. Actually, yeah. 10 of Wands here, we have the end of a cycle of stress. The stress that you'll be feeling in the month of June. You're going to have to be avoiding... Oh, okay. I get it. Avoiding the stress that you genuinely put yourself through, that's unnecessary. The sense of not being able to control the anger or the impatience that you have with yourself because the things that you're manifesting are not working out is something you're going to have to avoid. Or not that you have to avoid it completely, but you're going to have to work on not being so upset with yourself because things that you thought were supposed to work out a certain way weren't working out that way. With the 10 of Wands specifically, I'm getting the sense of being so wound up and tight, the sense of exploding anytime soon. But with the 8 of Wands, I feel like you have nowhere to do that. I'm also getting the phrase rage room in my head. So maybe it's time to let that rage out in healthier ways. I'm getting kickboxing, MMA, karate, rage rooms, like I was saying, like breaking things in in a situation where it's actually acceptable. The sense of letting your stress out, like screaming out at the top of your lungs. But obviously you can't just do that anywhere, right? So maybe finding a healthy outlet for things like that. That's gonna allow you to have some you're too stressed out right now. You're too built up with stress. And what you're going to have to avoid is you're going to have to avoid keeping that all in. When you're doing that, you're doing a disservice to yourself and to your body, to your mind, and to your soul. So what you're going to have to do is let it out, but find healthy ways to do it. Um, for clarifiers, for the Ten of Wands, Temperance, Eight of Swords reverse tells us you're being stuck with the idea of being patient with yourself. Sometimes it is okay to be upset. Sometimes it is okay to be angry. Sometimes it is okay to be um frustrated. Um, but when you're feeling those type of things, there's only so much room you can keep it all in within your body that it has to come out. But the problem is you're going to allow it to overcome your whole body, that is just going to be full of rage and frustration and impatience, that it's going to start pouring out to other people. So you don't want that. With the Knight of Swords here, also reverse, it's kind of like, don't be so logical about it. Sometimes it's okay to feel your feelings. Um, with the Magician as well, it's just bury the sense of like, don't create this idea of stress having to be fully encapsulated into you as a person. Stress can absolutely be let out in other ways rather than just keeping it all in, you know? There's physical activity that you can do. So I feel like Spirit is asking you to avoid keeping it all in and trying to transmute that power and that rage into other physical activities in whatever ways that you can. Running, uh, power walking, even. I'm getting jogging, like the sense of like using your body to release all that stress that you're going to be going through and not allowing it to be contained all within. So I'll leave it at that. So that will be for shift, and that's number 9. And then we have here, oh, that's the card number 9, but number 7, what to embrace. We have divine masculine. Divine masculine, that's number 2. The divine masculine is the embodiment of logic, direct action, and strength. In his most evolved aspect, he represents the builder, the protector, and the guardian. Drawing this card can symbolize that divine masculine energy is needed to balance your current situation. It can also represent father, brother, healing, and the healing of relationships with the divine masculine in your life. So, I feel like with the divine masculine card here, we have here the shape of a sun and the shape of a crescent moon sitting on top of it. I feel like despite how do I say it? Not how feminine you are, but despite how intuitive and how receptive you can be to a certain extent, there's a foundation that you're currently in that needs to be a little bit more stronger. And with the divine masculine, it's kind of getting the sense of being okay with embracing your your ability to take on the world, your ability to really be a leader. Maybe it's exhausting being a leader, maybe it's exhausting having to be in control, but I feel like the embracing of this right now for this month of June is really going to allow you to be I don't have any cards right now, so I'm just kind of channeling. Be a little bit more in control of the opportunities that are going to be sent your way. And when they do come your way, it's going to be important that you use your logic and your strength and your discipline and your fire and your strength and your ability to lead to really allow you to take on these higher opportunities of leadership and growth. Because while you may be receptive, and that is a key important goal in this life and in this month particularly, um, you have a very strong leadership quality that either you don't know you have or being you try to avoid using in your life. It's almost like you're okay being a little bit in the background, despite you knowing what's best for each situation. Maybe embracing your divine masculinity in general, either at home, at work, in school, with yourself, just in general, the sense of like, okay, I need to be a leader. I know there's more responsibility. There's When you're stepping up into the role of leadership, you're stepping up to the role of being criticized, of being watched over, of being judged. And maybe that's something that we try to avoid, but I feel like we have to embrace that for this coming month of June. It's very important that you do come to a point of just accepting the fact that you do have leadership qualities, and that's just something you have to accept. Because when you're not putting in those qualities of of mentorship and leadership towards others, you're doing a disservice to your own growth, because there's actually how do I say it? There's a there is an entire side of you that is being blocked away simply because you don't want to be judged or criticized for it. But people are going to judge and criticize you for it either way, so it's better to just allow it to come out and really put yourself in the spotlight, and the people around you will either follow you because they trust you, they trust your intuition, they trust your guidance, they trust your leadership, or they'll fall away, and it'll come to a point where you realize, like, the way we think, while you respect their logic, it's not your way of thinking, right? So the sense of divine masculinity being a key part of embracing your inner your inner self to help the situations around you. Let's get a little clarity on divine masculine just to be a little bit more sure. The Page of Wands, yeah. Oh, thank you. The Chariot and the Hangman. Yeah, so the Page of Wands is a student of leadership, a student of motivation, a student of passion, a student of learning how to handle their fire, taking action, the Chariot, towards a new perspective, the Hangman. So you are in need of a new perspective of who you are, or who you truly are meant to lead. If you're meant to be a leader, if you're afraid, find a new perspective to allow you to embrace that quality of you leading. Don't be afraid of being judged. Don't be afraid of being criticized, because that's where your faith and your self-confidence and your self-esteem that needs to be worked on will come into play. And soon, once you get so used to criticism, it gets to a point where you learn to really avoid depending on what people think of you, and just accepting that whether people like you or not, you have a purpose here, and that's just your main goal no matter what. So just overall, the sense of taking action towards a new perspective of who you are as a person, and who you are as a leader. Let's do number 8, where to find support. Growth. Where to find support and growth. A time of evolution and growth is here. You may be leaving behind outdated and antiquated relationships, mentors, beliefs, systems, situations, or environments. If you are inquiring about a situation or relationship, this card calls for a deeper commitment or decision to let go in order to honor your journey. Draw another card for clarity about which direction to take regarding your situation. This card represents knowing that all will be well and for the highest good. And it's the image of a spiral. And this is where to find support. Let's get clarity on growth, please. Thank you. 8 of Pentacles and the Sun. Working towards enlightenment, working towards mastering your own truths, your own dreams, and your own ego. Working towards balancing humility and humbleness with pride and dignity and I was gonna say leadership, but there was another word. Oh shit, I lost it. Okay. Either way. So with the Eight of Pentacles here, put in the work. Growth is key here. You can find support in the work that you're putting in. You're not wasting your time when you're just doing things like meditating and doing affirmations and journaling and doing your daily tarot card spreads or putting in videos that aren't getting in a lot of views. You're not wasting your time, because each video that you're posting, each I'm getting music, each audio file that you're posting, each piece of yourself that you're posting online or that you're sharing with others is just another building stone to building yourself into a stronger person, into a stronger foundation of who you are, right? It takes growth, and it takes dedication, and it takes time. I think that's pretty much it. So with growth, is basically where to find the support with even people. I'm getting like people who are going to be surrounding you, who are going to help you build your dreams as well, and people who are going to help you see you for who you are, who will remind you of the light that you bring to the world. Those are the type of people that you can surround yourself with. And advice and encouragement for this last card is number 9. I'm sorry, number 20. But for the last one, which is number 9, divinity. You are divine, and this message comes with a warning and a blessing. A warning and a blessing. Drawing this card invites you to proceed with love over fear, no matter what your situation or relation. Proceed only from a place of unconditional love, reverence, and understanding. Life is filled with choices. Make sure they are the ones that respect all involved, including yourself. Meditate on the symbol when you want to connect with the unseen elemental beings for support. Alrighty, let's see. Let's get some clarity on divinity. Thank you. 10 of Swords. Betrayal. The Lovers. Oh, shit. Okay. Oof. A lot of cards. So for divinity, we have the 10 of Swords, the Lovers, Queen of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Empress. So as far as it being for advice and encouragement, whatever betrayals, whatever huge deceptive situations that will feel very crippling in the month of June, there's a sense of, I don't want to say love, but there's a sense of a silver lining when it comes to this deception. What that silver lining is a reminder of who you are deep within and deep below all the deception and the pain and the hurt and the grief. It may involve deception with a lover, a connection, a romantic relationship, but with Queen of Wands being, the High Priestess being followed up by the Queen of Wands, we have here intuition will guide you towards the right decisions to make from now on to try to avoid any unnecessary deceptions that are in your life. Will you always avoid it? No, but there are ways that we can do it to kind of not deal with unnecessary deceptions by just trusting our gut, right? And then with the Empress here, the sense of growth from the Queen of Wands to the High Priestess to the Empress. So I feel like any pain that you're going through right now will involve a death and a rebirth. It's almost like a heavy Scorpio energy. So this transformation will bring about a new way to love yourself and your qualities of fire and passion and motivation, and transform that and balance it correctly with your intuition and your divine guidance with spirit. And then with those things combined, it will allow you to really bring about the energy of creation, the energy of balance, the energy of beauty, and the energy of the divine feminine, right? Because we have here the Empress. As we know, the growth in our in for the month of June is the divine masculine, right? But for the divine feminine, we still want to pay attention and keep that one in check and just remind ourselves that despite how well adjusted we are with our femininity, there's still things that we still have to accept with ourselves that, hey, this isn't something that I deserve better. Despite how painful it is, I have to move on, or I have to keep my distance or keep a boundary. Um, that's pretty much it for that one. Um, Let me get a little bit of clarity on the Lovers. Maybe there's some clarifiers there. Clarity on the Lovers, por favor. Oop, oop, oop. Getting my other deck because they basically use up all my deck. Okay. Clarity on the Lovers, please, my guys. Two of Pentacles. Magician. Reverse. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so as a clarifier for the Lovers here, I feel like we have two people who are very logical, who are triggering each other through self-reflection. And when they trigger each other through self-reflection, you see that there's qualities that you have that need to be worked on, that need guidance, that need support, that this other person is unable to bring to you. And with the Magician reverse, I have this feeling of like you're kind of blocking your own reality of love and commitment and your future just because you're stuck in the sense of like not being able to grow with each other. So I think there's a sense of separation that you're trying to either you're willing to separate or you're struggling to accept the fact that you have to separate for now. With the Page of Swords here, I feel like the sense of learning how to deal with the logical solution in this situation, and that's separation. And the reason I say separation is because the Eight of Cups follows the Page of Swords, and with the Eight of Cups, it's like loss and a new path and leaving things behind that no longer serve you and moving on towards other things, right? Towards a new unknown journey. And with the new unknown journey, with the Ace of Swords following the Eight of Cups, a new way of a new growth is required to be learned on this new path for your own growth, for your own mindset, for the way you think, for the way you process your feelings, for the way you process your emotions and logic and thoughts, and basically maturing that triggered side for yourself. So that way, should, like I was saying before, if something's meant for you, it's going to come back around in some way, you know? There are plenty of couples who have stayed for years together who say that, yeah, we've broken up because we thought it was what's best, but after we broke up, however long it took, we decided we were meant for each other and we came back together because by chance we met each other at a certain place again and I didn't know they were going to be there and blah blah blah. So like the way the universe really tends to work on your side in your favor if it's meant for you is really honestly very interesting and intriguing and exciting, honestly. But you gotta have faith in the fact that it'll be there for you. So if this is somebody who you're letting go and you know you're never gonna see them again, then you know the answer is to genuinely let them go. If this is someone who you feel like you're meant to be with, but it's just not the right time as far as divine timing, you gotta let them go, let them grow on their own, and then you grow, and then when time comes around, you'll be back together again. So the sense of like being able to let go of something If you love something, set it free. If it's meant for you, it'll come back to you, right? That's basically the clarity I got for the lovers. You have two journeys here that you each have to take on your own, because the journey that you try to take with them, you already know, they don't know. So if you're doing it for them, they're not going to learn. If they already know the journey that you have to go through and they're doing it for you, you're not going to learn anything. It's one thing to have company, but that's why you have friends, not lovers, right? Or partners or relationships. There's other support systems that can guide you the right way. So I'll leave it at that. And that's basically my reading for June. If it resonates, let me know. If it doesn't, let me know. Either way, I'm going to be posting no matter what. I'm going to be posting more every day, but it's going to be based on which planetary ruler is for the day. So I believe for today it's Tuesday, so it's Mars. Um, just for now, it's Mars is like wisdom, motivation, fire, strength, war, action, taking all that stuff. But this is just for June, right? So it doesn't really count. But that's the type of thing I'm going to be doing from now on. So tomorrow's Wednesday, which is technically today because it's 12:36. Also 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 1, 1, 1 was popping up a lot today, so maybe that could be a sign for someone. Um, Wednesday, I think it's Mercury, but I'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna post it like this. Like I said, it'll be an audio post, so it's not gonna be like any visuals. But if it works out, or if it's something that might is more helpful and more convenient, I guess you can say, let me know, and I can post more in this method rather than visual learning, just so that way I get used to the idea of doing it more like an audio. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that, and I hope you guys have a good weekend, have a good week, have a good day. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys soon.